Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 6th lesson in the intermediate class. And we have a lot to cover today, dealing with comparisons, superlatives, and transportation. So let's get started. All right, as I mentioned, we're going to do a lot with these concepts here, transport, so how we move about in our daily lives. What mode of transportation, mode, M-O-D-E, what mode of transportation do we take? Mode of transportation. What mode of transportation do you normally take? I can tell you, I walk a lot, actually, and I take taxis and subway or metro, and sometimes a bus. I live in the center of the city, so I don't need a car, and it's hard to park if I had a car, so it's just more convenient not to have one. So we're going to talk about that. Let's begin by diving right into some vocabulary. Now, 155, we're going to look at this vocabulary bank transport. Let's just go there right now, because that's something actually you're going to be doing a lot of on your own. Because if you notice here, look, all of these have audio files that accompany, that go with these exercises. Now, I want you to take this seriously. This is one of homework that I really want you to do and do well, because it's important that we know how to, not only how to pronounce these, but what they mean. So here's an interesting distinction. In the UK, they say lorry. We never say that in America, that we say truck or semi. Actually, we use other words, semi. Semi is spelled like this. A semi is something like this, number 3. Semi is very big, a semi-trailer, tractor, semi-truck, but we normally just say a semi, which means a very big truck, a lorry. All right, motorway, freeway, we have the interstate. Both the British and the Americans use interstate, but the motorway is never used in the US, and freeway is probably never used in England. So we have these distinctions that you want to be aware of. And again, we have more words and phrases that you're going to be exposed to, and then you're going to be able to check your pronunciation with the audio files. We have 4 of them on this page, so you've got a lot to do here. I think very helpful and very interesting. We've got a little bit more pronunciation. I'm not going to give you all of it because it's too much. I'm going to emphasize just a few of these because I think they're really important. And here we want to distinguish, tell the difference between the ch and j. Cheap, number 1, cheap, Jeep. Do you hear the difference? It's very slight. Slight means small. It's very slight. It's very small. Cheap, Jeep. But there is a difference. And the English file is going to help you. The audio files are going to help you. So I don't actually need to assist you so much in these. All right, rush hour. So here is a reading. I'm just going to highlight a few of the words here. Rush hour, you might not know what that means. Rush means going quickly. Hour, of course, is the time of a day. So rush hour occurs in most big cities in the morning when most people are going to work. That's rush hour. That's the time when the traffic is the greatest. And there's also rush hour at the end of the day when you're coming home from work. So people try to avoid rush hour. I want to avoid the rush hour traffic. So I'm going to leave at 3 o'clock and not 5. It depends on the city and the country what rush hour is, but every country has a period when most people are going to work and most people are coming home from work. And this is when traffic is thick. Thick means it's heavy, heavy traffic. It's rush hour. We're going to look at comparatives and superlatives on the Grammar Bank 136. What is a comparison? A comparison is something like this: older than. My car is a bit older than yours. I will read these. I'm not going to send these files. I'm actually going to read them. London is more expensive than. That's the comparison. More than Edinburgh. Edinburgh is how you say that. Edinburgh. The test is less difficult than the last one. It's easier than the last one. Olive oil is better for you than butter. The new sofa, right here, isn't as comfortable as the old one. All right, now I have a few lessons. I'd like to talk. You can go through this book. I think it's pretty clear. But I'm going to talk about it in my own way, because basically the rule for this is, when do we use more and when do we use ER? That's the question. So the basic rule is this: if the word is 1 or 2 syllables, you use the ER. If it's longer, if it's more than 2 syllables, so beautiful, you don't say beautifuler. No, you say more beautiful. So if it's a long word, you use more. If it's a short word, you add ER at the end. But there are some exceptions. I want to tell you about them, because these words can take both forms and they're both correct. Cleverer, cleverer, cleverer is intelligent, more intelligent, or you can say more clever. Gentler or more gentle, both are correct. Friendlier or more friendly. Quieter or more quiet. Simpler or more simple. Subtler, this is a big word. Subtle means very, very small, very almost unnoticeable. More subtle distinctions. This is the common phrase you use here. Narrow, this is very narrow, this is wide. Narrower, more narrow. The tunnel is narrower than the street. Likelier, more likely. He is likelier to win than she is, or she is likelier to win than he is. All right, and then there's a few what we would call irregular comparisons, and many of you already know these, but let's just talk about them so you can see them. Good, better, we know that one. Good, better, best, or well, better. Bad, worse, and worst. Worst is the superlative. Little, less. I have little knowledge on this. I have less knowledge than he does. Much or more. More is very common. We know this instinctively. Far, we have 2 options: farther and further. Both are used and both deal with distance. The city is further than I thought, farther than I thought. Both are fine. Members, old. We know older. She's older, he's older. That building is older than that one. But elder can also be used, not as common, but it only deals with family or close, or maybe famous people, something like this. And then finally, one we probably don't know much about, and I want to talk to you about it, is latter and former. You can say the latter and the former. Now, this is actually sort of an adjective, but the latter, so if you're describing 2 things in a series, so let's say we have 2 teams, New York, Yankees, this is an American team, and Manchester City United. What is it? Man City United, is that right? So Manchester City. So you can talk about the latter. So this is the first and second. So the former is the Yankees. The latter is Man City, Manchester City. Manchester United, sorry, is the other one. So when you talk about two things, you can talk about them as the former and the latter. These are more pronouns, but they also work in sort of comparative modes, the former compared to the latter. All right, let's move on. You have a lot of homework dealing with this, actually, so I will let you do this. It's all here. It's pretty clear, I think, but I want to just mention one thing here in this box because it is a little bit confusing, and I want to draw your attention. You can say two ways. You can say comparatives in two ways. She's taller than me, or she's taller than I am. We need the verb, that helping verb am at the end. She's taller than I am. Not she's taller than I. No, she's taller than me, or she's taller than I am. You want to make sure and remember that. That's a very common mistake. And then we have superlatives. Superlatives, of course, are the EST or most. The most expensive, remember, expensive is very long, so we say most. If it's a short word, we add EST at the end. So tall is a short word, so we can say tallest. Short, shortest. But expensive, 3 syllables, we say the most expensive or the least expensive. So that's going to be your homework for that section. And that's a lot of it, actually. That's going to be a lot. I'll give you a little bit of listening, but not so much. And they try to do I like this concept they use here of linking. For example, the most interesting. Do you see right here, the most interesting? What they're trying to suggest in sort of helping you speak more like a native speaker is that sometimes we link the words together. So instead of saying the most interesting, the last 2 words will say the most interesting, the most interesting, stinteresting. Do you hear? It's almost one word, the most interesting. So you hear it coming together. I'm going to give you a little bit of listening, but not a lot, because you've got a lot of homework to do at the very bottom. And you've also got this public transport that I've already mentioned. So you've got quite a bit to do. The answers to the student book, as you know, are here. So good luck, study hard, and speak soon. Bye-bye.